G'day guys, and welcome back to another episode of Willy's Tasting Room. I know it's been a little while, I've been off the radar for a little bit, but I'm going to get back into the swing of things now. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to have some fun. I don't know how much fun watching is, but yeah. So this episode does have a theme, unlike the last one, and the theme for today is small local breweries. Now, I say local, but what I really mean is local to the Wairarapa. A couple weeks ago I went on holiday to Martinborough and I passed through some other small towns in the Wairarapa and I picked up a couple of local beers. So I thought I'd try them out. So, without any further ado, the first one I have is the Regent 58 Session Ale. Now there's very little information available about this online, and that's because it's from, a little brewery in Carterton. What I can tell you about this is that it's a medium strength ale, 4% alcohol by volume, so this 500ml bottle is 1.6 standard drinks. I don't see that on too many bottles, but it's got a best after date, and this one is best after December of last year, so that's fine. This just looks like a good country beer, if that's a thing. Crack this open. There isn't any information on this on Rate Beer, so I'm going to take a stab and say this belongs in an English pint glass. There's very little head on this, which is a little disappointing. In my mind, an ale is frothy, but, I don't even know how right I am about this. I assume that's something to do with that lower alcohol content. That's an orange-brown, very cloudy, not seeing through that at all. There's just no head at all. I don't know how well you can see that. Nothing at all. So yeah, it's not bad looking. I have a feeling this is going to be really undercarbonated, which would be strange. And it wouldn't be good at all. There's no bubbles coming up off the bottom, so it doesn't actually bode very well. For appearance, I'm going to give this a 3. I like the colour, and the clarity is what it is, but I'm a little concerned by that lack of head, and there's just no bubbles at all. I'll have a smell. That's not too bad. It's quite a yeasty smell. It's quite sour smelling, but in that sourness, I'm getting quite a lot of fruit, which is nice. There's a bit of lychee and a little bit of orange as well, and that's quite nice. But aside from that yeasty, fruity sort of smell, I'm not really getting much else. So, it's good, but it could be a lot better. There's no complexity to it. It's very linear, very simple sort of aroma. So for smell, I'm going to give this a 6.5. It has the makings of a really good scent, but there's nothing really after that first kind of lychee orange smell. Right, we'll have a taste. It's not too bad. And that's the theme of this beer. It's more sweet than I thought it was going to be from the smell. There's a wee bit of orange coming through there. It's quite nice. It's almost like an orange rind kind of taste. It's, sweet to begin with, and then it's got a nice bitter finish. It's not really heavy, like some other sort of bitter finishes that I've had on with previous beers. What a train wreck that sentence was. There's something a little off in the aftertaste, and for me, I think that's the yeast. I feel like this beer hasn't fermented properly, so in the brewing process, the thing that gives it the fizziness is the yeast eating the sugar and producing carbon dioxide, and I feel like it hasn't completed that. I don't know which one they're missing. Presumably sugar. There wasn't enough sugar for the yeast to eat. It's sort of got a weird, lingering, yeasty aftertaste. The number of times I've said yeasty, we're moving into uncomfortable. But the initial hit's good, and the aftertaste is nice, and the yeastiness is not great. But it doesn't completely destroy the taste, which is good. It actually kind of complements it a bit. So for taste, I'm going to give this a 16.5. This is a really good tasting beer. It's got a really good flow to the taste. It's sweet, and then it's bitter. Buzzwords, man. Sweet and bitter. And, there's a little bit too much of a yeasty flavour in there, but that's fine. This has the makings of a really top-class beer in terms of taste. But here's where it gets let down. On the palate, this beer is pretty bad, right? There's barely any fizz at all. Almost none. And I'll tell you what, if there was any less, it'd just be like a 0. But in saying that, it's not too heavy, and it's almost crisp. The one thing that would help to make it more crisp would be if there was proper carbonation. I haven't done anything to this beer. I haven't shaken it. I haven't pre-opened it. The seal was intact. So that's the brewer's fault. So for mouthfeel, I have to give this a 2. It's simply not good enough. The carbonation is such an important part of the mouthfeel, it's almost completely absent. So I can't pass that. For overall experience, I'd like to give this a 7.5. This has been a really nice beer to have, and the only gripe I have with it is just the total and utter absence of carbonation. But otherwise, this is a really good brown bottle kind of beer. And if I could get a crate of these, it'd fit right in on crate day. What it has over those crate beers is a decently complex taste. It's fairly aromatic. It's not too heavy. You can get it down, but at the same time, there's space to appreciate it. So, if you tally up those marks, you will get a 35.5 out of 50, which is a percentage of 71, which is a B. I feel like it's deserving of something more, but I mean, I can't say it enough. It's really let down by that lack of fizz. So, it is what it is. This was actually quite hard to do because I didn't get any help from the brewer. You know, sometimes with those other ones I do, they have little helpful things on the label to tell you what it might smell and might taste like. This has got nothing. This is beer. Malted grains, hops, yeast and water. Geez, thanks. Still good. Okay, let's move on to the next beer. This one is a little different. It's in a flagon, as you might be able to see. So this one is from the Martinborough Brewery. You can buy this one in 330ml bottles, but I was in Martinborough and I went to the tap room. I really love that little brewery. You know, Martinborough's a region mostly associated with wine. So to go to that little brewery in a place where the wine standard is so high, it's a good experience because they have to have a certain standard that they reach, you know, to keep up with all those wineries. It's a change of pace because I don't like wine. What was I doing in wine country then? Oh. So the one I have here with me is one of 6 that they have all year round, and this one is the Foxy Red. I'll just pull up a little bit of information because there's none on this, it's just a flagon. So the Foxy Red is 6.8% alcohol by volume. This is a litre, so what does that make it? Like 4%. Double. Using a little bit of quick maths, this one is about 5.5 standards, like altogether. So Rate Beer recommends that I serve this in a English pint glass. I can't be bothered washing that. So the second one it recommends is a shaker pint, which I also don't really have, but this is closer. Oh, I ran into this problem last time as well. This is embarrassing. I'm going to screw this back on when I'm done, and I'm not going to be able to get it off. I'm glad no one's watching. Oh. Got it in the end. Put this up. That was an unfortunate series of events. Right, so we'll keep going. Immediately, there's quite a bit of head. To be honest, I'm really glad to see that there is a lot. You might recall there was a lost beer in that first episode, and it was from Martinborough. I think I'd left it in the flagon. It was maybe 7 or 8 weeks old, and it was just completely flat. I've been in the flagon for about 3 weeks. Very tightly sealed, but it's good to see that it's got a bit of fizz. That's going down already, though. I might top that up. So this is a lovely red colour. There's a decent amount of head, about a finger. Yeah, this is pretty much completely see-through. There's a really tiny bit of cloudiness. I think that's pretty in character with most other reds. It looks good. There's a good amount of head, and it's a lovely colour, very clear. So yeah, brilliant. All right, we'll have a smell now. Oh, that's a really tasty smelling beer. So the first thing that's coming through is a big hit of toffee or caramel. It's very sweet smelling, and I love it. And then after that initial caramel smell is a nice little touch of fruit, kind of tropical fruits. I'm getting banana, I'm getting a bit of pineapple. So the whole thing is just a really sweet smelling beer. That's the hops coming through, although you've got a fair amount of the malt as well, and that's characterized in that caramel smell, and those hops are what are giving me the fruity smell. Provides a good platform for what I think it's going to taste like. So for smell, I'm going to give that a 9. This is a really, really good smelling beer. The only kind of gripe I'd have with it is there isn't something to balance it out, maybe. It's very sweet smelling and, you know, it almost just smells like lollies. It's hard to explain really, but there isn't a bitter smell or a sour smell to kind of balance out that sweetness. So in that, I kind of have to take a mark off. So we'll have a taste now. It's good. It's very bitter to begin with. Kind of gets in there and just stops you dead for a minute. So in that bitterness, what I'm getting is mostly malty kind of flavors. It's a very rich, toasty, malty sort of flavor, and the caramel's coming through there well enough. In addition to that maltiness, I'm also getting a fair amount of hops. And so those two things combined really give it that bitter hit, because the caramel and the banana and the pineapple and all that is just kind of pushed to the back. But you do get that on the way down. It's got a really big hit initially, and then the aftertaste is quite mellow. It's about as sweet as it should be, which is a compliment. You don't want a beer to be too sweet, or it's just, you know, it's not very nice at all. And for a beer like this, you wouldn't want it to be entirely lacking in sweetness, especially not after all the stuff we've smelled to begin with. So the taste is actually really balanced. This is a 6.8% beer, which is, you know, that's a medium to medium high sort of alcohol content for a beer, but it hits you really hard. For taste, I'm going to give this a 17.5. There's very little wrong with this one. You get that really nice bitter hit to begin with, and then it mellows out as it goes down. The only real gripe I have with this is that although the taste is balanced, it does kind of take a while for the sweetness to kick in. So it's, you know, it's slightly leaning towards being too bitter, if that makes any sense at all. The other thing, of course, would be how alcoholic it tastes. I think that's an area for improvement. I think there's just a little bit too much of that alcoholic bitterness coming through, and it could benefit from, I don't know, maybe a touch more sweetness or a slightly lower alcohol percentage. For mouthfeel, this is spot on. Carbonation, spot on. It's very smooth, and it needs to be because it is very heavy. It's creamy and smooth. I'm running out of adjectives already. So for mouthfeel, I'm going to give this a 5. Let the number do the talking. 5. For overall experience, I'm going to have to give this a 9. The only problem I have with it, like I said, is that alcoholic flavour. What a dumb thing to say about a beer. Just a bit too, you know, heavy on the back of your throat. Otherwise, you know, this is flavoursome, it's aromatic, it's smooth, it's really everything you could want. Looks good, feels good. 9 out of 10. So if you add up all those marks, you will get a 45 out of 50, which as a percentage is 90. And that is an A+. And it really does deserve it. This is one of the better beers I've had. Top notch. If you ever find yourself in Martinborough for whatever reason, make sure you get down to the brewery. It's totally worth it. You can get 5 tasters for $10. That is insane value. So that's 2 more beers down into the bank. I don't know how many that is right now because it's been a while since I did anything. But if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. This week is a pretty exciting one for me because literally today, the date this video should hopefully come out, I'll be going to Beervana. If you don't know what Beervana is, it's an event where brewers from all around New Zealand and even a few from outside New Zealand come to Westpac Stadium and have a big bloody beer party. And if you love beer, it's worth doing. Now, it's not too late to get tickets, I'm sure. If you want to go to the Saturday morning or the Saturday evening one, you could probably get them on Ticketek. I'm going to be getting utterly trashed there, but hopefully I'll be sober enough to get like 5 minutes of video from there. And if anyone who's watching happens to be going, I'll see you there. Mate, probably not. I actually won't. I doubt it. Once again, thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more of my beer antics, you can click here for the previous episode, or to catch up with what I've been doing lately, you can click here for my latest vlog. Make sure that if you're interested in what beers I'm drinking, you follow me on Untappd. Untappd is that website. It's basically Twitter for beer, and I have a really good time rating beer and putting it on there. I've got 2 loyal fans already who've befriended me on Untappd, so thank you to Lorne and Luke. Shameless name dropping. Shameless. If you like what you see, give the video a like and subscribe and all that nonsense, and I'll see you around, guys.